Everybody, welcome to another episode of Eyes on Geopolitics, a special one today. We have Mick Mulroy, of course, and we have YouTube juggernaut Chris Cappy, Chris Cappy, Cappy Army, his new channel. Check it out. When you're done watching this, go and subscribe. I'll have a link in the description. He doesn't really need the help, to be honest, but he's doing great. So, what's up, guys? How are you?
Awesome.
Good.
All right. So, where are you from? Yeah, where are you coming from?
All right. So I was in Juba, South Sudan. We have a humanitarian project there, and then we were trying to fly to Amman, and we're in the air, and they said, and the war started, so they turned our plane around because they closed the airspace. Drones and missiles are flying over it, and now I ended up here in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. So talk about a difference,
Yeah.
between Juba.
Yeah, that's like night and day, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the place to be right now.
So, I mean, obviously everybody's aware what went down. Israel preemptive strikes on Iranians' nuclear sites, and, not just sites, but also like nuclear scientists, IRGC folks, a ton of people. Mick, get it together. And it's been back and forth over the weekend. Mick's very popular. So it's been back and forth. Iran, initially for like the first, I would say, 12, 20 hours, they didn't really fire back at all. People were thinking like, oh my God, they completely took out Iran's ballistic missile capability. Obviously, that's not true because over the last 3 days, Iran's been shooting some salvos over in Israel that some have gotten through. People have been killed in Israel. People have been killed in Iran. It's kind of unprecedented what's going on. Mick, I would definitely want to touch base. I mean, this is your old career about like the paramilitary stuff where Mossad got into Iran, was able to set up a drone base, and hit a lot of Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. I think some air defense stuff, some radar stuff as well. So there's a lot to unpack, obviously. We're all glued to the fucking news and to Twitter and stuff like that. I don't know where you want to start. I just threw out a bunch of stuff, but Mick, go ahead. Mick, I lost you.
Lost your audio.
No, I muted it because I keep getting phone calls from going on different TV to talk about this. To start with, I think there was some tension. I know there's a lot of speculation that it was an act, but I do believe the White House did want to see an actual nuclear agreement. I think they wanted it to be more stringent than the one they pulled out of, the 2015 JCPOA. But I do think it was a genuine desire to avoid the need for a military conflict, at least between the United States and Iran, to get to an agreement that would ensure that Iran would not get to a nuclear weapon. But the sticking point, I think, was the enrichment. Do it inside Iran. That's what they wanted to do. The U.S. wanted it outside, so they didn't have all the capacities, the centrifuge and all that stuff, so that they could be enriching it past that. And you can, once you know what you're doing, and they were upgrading to the highest level of centrifuge, you can go pretty quick to get to the 90% requirement for a nuclear weapon. Then you would have to have the device that actually triggers it. So, but I think Israel was concerned that the agreement itself would have taken the tension and the pressure off of Iran. They would have removed the sanctions, and they would still try to get it. So I think they elected to do this, and when they pulled the trigger, it was much more than just going after Natanz and Isfahan and Fordow and all the ones we knew. It was all the ones we thought we knew, and it was military bases, and it was ballistic missile launch sites and ballistic missile manufacturing. I knew this was, so they're taking this opportunity. They're going after all of their military infrastructure, not just the nuclear. They're going after their economic infrastructure. They're hitting gas, oil plants. They're going to put them, they probably will cripple like Bandar Abbas, one of their main ports. They're going to keep going until Iran is crippled. And I think what they would like to see is an uprising from the people of Iran. And they're saying it openly. So it's not, I don't think I'm going out on a limb, because the regime is incredibly unpopular, right? It was before this. their economic situation is dire, and it could be very good if they would unleash their capacity on the global market. And I think that all that together is where they're headed. As far to your point, it was a masterful way and intelligence preparation, the battle space, getting Mossad in there, getting all these teams in there, both the secret drone bases plus teams of commandos that are going out and putting specific sensors on site, so it's easier to get to target it, with directed munitions. Apparently, they hit the senior leaders, eradicated the general staff. I mean, literally, there's nothing left. They eradicated the leadership of the IRGC, which is, the special operations. They eradicated all the nuclear scientists, all the way down to technicians. And I think some of the technicians, they didn't know what they were, so they sent these commando teams out to do old school, assassinations. And then the IDF completely dominated the airspace. Like they're refueling planes right over Iran. Like there's nothing coming at them, which that's an indicator that they're completely confident of their air domination, because they didn't even have an air force to really fly. And quite frankly, once they took out the air defense systems, there wasn't much left, and they relied on Russian systems, S-300s, et cetera, which aren't very good anyway. So they're in a situation where they're just probably debating targets at leisure, flying above Iran and taking them out. And I think hopefully this can end with a ceasefire, as it usually does. I'd like to see a change in the regime. I think that is actually an option. But if not, that it ends with a ceasefire and a significantly neutered Iran, which I think is good for not just Israel and the United States, but the region.
Would that ceasefire mean them coming to an agreement as far as would that ceasefire include some kind of guarantee from Iran that they wouldn't enrich past 20% or something like that? Or how might we get to a ceasefire, do you think?
That's a good question, Chris. So I do think you could tie the nuclear agreement in with the ceasefire. You could have both, right? Because they're not really in a position anymore.
Yeah.
They killed all the negotiators.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. So they're gonna have to get. Yeah, they killed
wild.
the chief guy for sure that was supposed to be in Oman. Yeah, no.
Right. So this bluster's over. They've proven they're a paper tiger. They didn't last a night. But it isn't about gloating, because we're talking about the people overall, not the leadership. They would benefit greatly with a nuclear agreement where they said, okay, we're obviously never going to get a nuclear weapon, but we're going to need to get sanctions relief because our economy's crippled and our military's crippled. So if they get sanction relief, perhaps even the international community invest. I mean, this is what President Trump is pushing for the most, is economic development around the world for the United States. That's in the benefit of Iran, but they have to come to a ceasefire and they have to come to nuclear.
Something I'm wondering is let's put ourselves in the shoes of the Iranian leaders. Do they have pressures on them as far as, like, let's say they said, okay, we will stop enriching, we'll only use nuclear power that comes in from outside the country. Do their people then revolt because of that? Or do they face a possible consequence of looking weak and accepting just like rolling over basically? Or do they have an incentive to hold on, sort of like, all right, let's just keep taking these missile strikes until they give up? That's something I'm always curious about. It's like, what are they weighing? Why would, at this point, it seems obvious that if I were them, I'd be like, okay, I guess we got to take what they offer us, but I wonder if they have incentives not to.
Yes, and obviously they're trying desperately to cut off the population from knowing what's going on, because it's clear that they just got their hat handed to them. They cut off the internet, and then thank goodness getting Skylink, right? What's that?
Starlink.
Yeah,
Starlink. Yes, we use it all the time, all our pro, which is a great system. And they turn it back on, right? So they're not going to be able to hide their population from seeing how bad they actually were. They couldn't even secure, those basic levels of defense for the people. I think they have, you know, so I could care less about regime preservation, but that's all they care about. They have an opportunity, I think, to acknowledge, they're going to shoot, and they killed some Israelis, civilians, of course. They targeted directly into civilian populations, apparently ordered directly by the Ayatollah, right? So with British man, it says kill civilians, right? So I don't even know if I've been traveling a lot, but I don't know how much they've even hit of the military. Um, so they're going to try to claim some level of, we fought back, but it's in their own interest. And to your point, Chris, it's called a multinational consortium, and this country I'm in is in it, right? They don't want countries to enrich their own uranium because then they could become a nuclear powered weapons powered country. So countries are accepting that the countries that already have nuclear weapons, which that's over, they already have them, they could enrich the uranium, and they could provide that level of enrichment that you need for power and medicine to countries like Iran, like UAE. And then they have the nuclear power. But we don't see, because as soon as Iran gets nuclear weapons, then Saudi's going to want nuclear weapons, and the UAE's going to want nuclear weapons, probably Qatar, and then we have an expanding world with nuclear weapons, which isn't in anybody's interest. So if they would accept that, I think the Trump administration could get to a nuclear agreement they accept. And then the sanctions start to come. And thanks to, the actions of the IDF, Israelis, they've reduced Iran to the point where it was a huge strategic mistake, to be frank. One, to allow your proxy forces to attack Israel like they did, and then they, eliminated, or in the process eliminated Hamas, really degraded Hezbollah. And now they've just shown the world that it's a paper tiger. And it was a strategic mistake not to actually agree to the consortium. We probably wouldn't, if the U.S. would have came to an agreement with them 2 weeks ago, I think President Trump would have put a lot of pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu not to strike the country that we just came to an agreement, right? Because that could have ruptured the agreement. He obviously wants that. But they did not, and now we are.
Well, we did have the 6th round of talks scheduled for today. Obviously, it didn't happen because they schwacked the chief negotiator. So that's out the window. I mean, I do hope they do come to the table at some point and they figure it the fuck out, because Israel and Iran lobbing, missiles at each other and, bombing each other, I feel like is not optimal for the region. I think that's safe to say. Also, there was some reports just before we came on, that likely Mossad set off 5 car bombs in Tehran, like just now. 5
Wow.
car bombs. Yeah. So they get
just like
busy.
your regular old V-bed style. They're giving a taste of their medicine back at them.
Yeah, I saw that from a couple sources. So, I mean, Mick, you're a former paramilitary guy. I mean, we better be fucking taking notes. I know this isn't really our style for the most part, but I mean, hopefully we are taking notes.
I think we should be taking notes on all this, every level, CIA and DOD, both with what Israel's been able to do and what Ukraine's been able to do. Right? I mean, they are at the brink of modern warfare, at the front end, and I hope we are. One of the hardest, I think, things to do is to foment an actual insurrection and revolution. And perhaps if it's accurate, the reporting you're reading, it might be that they're trying to foment this, but people just start feeling completely out of control, that the regime has lost all control and power, which is the only thing that they have over people, because they certainly don't look out for them. They terrorize them. It's probably, if it was Mossad, there probably is a plan to kick this off. It only works if it's real. Like, it has to be genuine, organic belief that but you can use trigger points, both on the influence side and potentially with this kind of activity, just to give people this impetus to go and rise up.
It's interesting. I saw Netanyahu speaking, and one of the things he was saying, oh, I'm getting reports that the Iranian leadership are packing their bags, that they're getting on planes. I think they're maybe a little bit trying to invoke some of the images that we just very recently saw of the Assad family getting on a plane, going to Russia, getting safety. And you see it on Twitter too. There are posts getting hundreds of thousands of views, people seeing posts of, maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but you see a plane in Iran, someone's filming it with their phone, and they're saying, "Oh, look, it's the Iranian leadership is packing their bags and leaving." And I think Israel would definitely want in their interest, what they want is for people in Iran to see and believe that their leadership is running.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that's a very good point. And maybe some of it's generated, maybe and some of it's real, but it starts to get people to think, oh, they're leaving. This could happen. So the
Yeah.
belief that could happen could actually make it happen. And
Yeah.
once they see it, they go, let's, and I hope somebody gives them safe passage because they can get the hell out of there. I mean, do they deserve safe passage? No, they deserve to end up in getting smoked. But, if it does, it ends the conflict. That's
Sure.
better
Right.
for
Yeah.
everybody,
It's worth
right?
it.
So if the Iranian people, rise up, they take control. They're in charge of their own destiny. I think that's a good thing. We'll see. We'll see. It's got to come from internal. I don't think an external war, right? There's not going to be a ground invasion. That would be, I mean, even for the United States, because of the geography, quite frankly, it would be a nightmare, totally. So it's going to have to come from inside the country, and that's going to be done through an influence campaign, in addition to obviously development.
If I'm Israel, you almost need that to happen now, because Iran, if I mean, they're going to have every reason from their point of view to try to develop these weapons. You kind of need regime change if you're Israel, and without it, Iran's just going to double down, it seems like. And
That's yeah,
if I'm Israel and I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't have the bunker buster bombs that I need to take out Iran's nuclear program. I don't have the military capability without the United States to completely destroy their nuclear capability. Like, Iran's, yeah, they killed all of their top scientists, but like, they're going to get replaced. That information at this point is institutional. Um, I almost feel like Israel has a strong incentive to keep bombing, probably, until they can affect regime change. I don't know. Even if they reach an agreement, like, I feel as though Iran, I just can't see them not trying to break that agreement at this point or secretly develop weapons. I mean, I don't know. This regime, I mean,
no, and they said that if they're attacked, that their policy will shift from we don't want a nuclear weapon to we absolutely have to have. And I mean, from their perspective, they look at this is used all the time, right? Gaddafi, he gave up his his aspirations for a nuclear weapon, and he was killed in a ditch. And our friend in North Korea, he got one, and he's getting love letters from the president of the United States. No, and I think Israel's just going to have to keep mowing the grass, as we used to say in the G1. They're going to have to keep doing it. I don't know that. I mean, there's been some indications from some of the Israelis I know that they might have some version of a munition that is more effective than we think they have. I don't know that to be true, but they might have just destroyed the surface areas of all these facilities, and eventually they can dig it out and go back down.
Can I be a little cynical, a little meanie right now? A little bit. I mean, let's say these bombings and the attacks on the sites and their economy and stuff actually doesn't inspire regime change, right? Because it's kind of a tall order, right? It's a little bit. I mean, I don't want to say it's wishful thinking. I mean, I guess it is. I want it to happen too. Everybody does. They're bad guys. The regime. But let's say it doesn't, and they're set back 3 or 4 months in terms of like their nuclear program, and they just keep cranking and they keep going, and then they eventually produce 15 bombs. Then what? Right? Because they, like you said, they did say if they got bombed, they will double down.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
one thing worse than a nuclear armed Iran is a nuclear armed Iran after this.
Right, right.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think the U.S. gets pulled in at that point for bombing campaign, possibly. I mean, that would be my guess. But Mick, I had one question. What do you think the United States is possibly is this a threat that we have to be concerned about in the homeland here, or I tend to think it's more likely that this type of a drone attack could potentially now be done on U.S. bases, especially small patrol bases. But do you feel like there could be potentially sleeper cells inside the United States that we need to be concerned about? Because this kind of attack would be a lot harder to pull off in the continental United States, I feel, but not impossible. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
So I think, I mean, they've made a series of strategic mistakes. So attacking the United States could be the next one, but it would be a bad idea. Like they're fighting the regional superpower Israel. People who really look at the capabilities of the militaries, Israel just way outmatches anybody in the Middle East. It's not even close. They would be fighting them and then pick the world's superpower to fight with. And then that would give us the opportunity to drop the very bunker buster bombs you're talking about, Chris, and do a lot more damage to the nuclear. So we could say, it's on. Yeah, now you bring in the biggest dog on the block. Well, bad choice. Does that mean they won't make it? I don't know. They've made a series of bad choices. So how would they do that?
China
I
as
mean,
well, I mean, like as any of our adversaries potentially. Is
yeah,
this the type of thing that we are exposed to, kind of?
sure. Yeah, well, I think we should look at what the Ukrainians did and apparently what the SBU and what the Mossad did, because it's a very low tech, actually, option to go up against the most high tech facilities, air bases with strategic bombers, B-1s, B-2s, F-35s, and just take them out. It's a huge problem. Would Iran be so bold? I don't know that they would instigate it. And
It
maybe,
wouldn't be, would not, probably you're right. It wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't be in their interest because part of our deterrence is, like you said, it's that hit back. It's what's
yeah,
going to come
it's,
after.
well, I
And
think
right
it's,
now, we haven't escalated to that point. Whereas
yeah,
with Russia, it's kind of like Ukraine didn't really have anything to lose by attacking. What are they going to do? Get bombed more? But in this case, yeah, you're right. Like they, who wants to pull America into a fight right now?
right.
Also,
Yes.
I think like maybe as far as China, people who are like capable of doing this and like kind of playing the long game, they I could see them wanting to set something up like that, similar to what the SBU did with, our goods get delivered by tractor trailers, right? So they're ubiquitous in the society. Um, I could totally see them having a program that if shit hit the fan with Taiwan and stuff, and we're in open kinetic conflict, like they want to fuck some shit up for a pretty economical, pretty economically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they might plan this. So in the event there is
Right.
conflict between us, then they use it. That I can
Yeah.
see because what do you got to lose? We
You're
got to
already
be
in it.
ready for this. We got to be
Yeah.
ready for this because this is a low tech, very high risk to our force.
Sort of crazy coincidence that it just so happened to happen in Ukrainian intelligence pulls this move off, and then the Mossad pulls this very similar move off, and supposedly they were both planned over the last like 12 months or so. It makes you think. It
Is there
makes you
somebody running?
Yeah.
yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, I don't know this, so I'm not.
Hopefully it's us. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's us because
Yeah.
to me that means one, we're supporting our allies, which is a good thing. Two, that means we know what we're talking. We know this stuff. Like, I have no idea, just to be fair. So I'm not giving up any secrets because I don't know. But I hope you're right, Chris. I think it'd be great if we're the ones that are passing this information because that means we're thinking about this. We're ahead.
Either we're doing it or they're talking to each other. It's we're getting into speculation here, but it just seems so crazy coincidence. Like that they don't have any coordination between them, whether it's through us or not. It seems like something's going on there.
I think you're onto something. I don't know that. I mean, how much time does Ukraine have to be like interfacing with Israel? And I mean, they don't have the time, even if they had the inclination. So there might be. The more we learn about it, the more commonalities.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
support your theory, idea. That means we're way ahead of it. That would be fantastic.
Can I be cynical one more time before
Sure.
you go? Before you go, Mick. Uh, Mossad obviously showing like their big guns and what they're capable of, and it's incredible in terms of covert action and stuff like that. It kind of bums me out that they couldn't stop or be part of being able to stop 2,500 Hamas guys from going into Israel on October 7th. It really, I'm speculating somewhat. I mean, it seems kind of crazy that like one of their areas of focus is Gaza, right? And they allowed that shit to go down, or drop the ball anyway.
Partly because it was their internal security force, and
Shin
Assad
Bet,
is, yeah. And also, I think when we talk about deterrence, when I think about that, I think part of the reason Israel was so complacent was because they were like, "There's no way they would do this. We'll go and we'll crush Hamas, we'll crush Hezbollah, and then we'll bomb Iran's nuclear sites if they did some shit like that."
Yeah, they literally did every single one of those.
I don't think it was I mean, obviously they wouldn't let that happen. And if you talk to Israelis, a lot of them's like, we saw them rehearsing. It wasn't and the people I'm talking to have a reason to say this, but they'll swear it wasn't an intel failure. It was a leadership failure.
Yeah.
But they're saying they're rehearsing, obviously, to conduct an attack. Apparently they did in the open, like including with those fly around,
hand gliders.
Yeah.
And I just think, they're not there. It's just.
I mean, also they were getting a ton of pings from like Unit 8200. They were like sending it up the flagpole, like, "Hey, this is sketchy." Like, they're coordinating something.
They just didn't take it serious. That's something that the leadership, and I think some of them already resigned. Just like any leadership should be held accountable. You all right, gents? I have to run to.
All right, get the hell out of here, Mick. Thank you,
guys. Good seeing you, Chris.
Yeah, great seeing you, Mick.
Back on whenever you'll have me, because it was a great conversation. But thanks for joining us here at Nice.
Totally.
Thanks, Mick.
Thank you.
I'll wrap up with Chris. You can go. Safe flight. Thanks, Mick Mulroy. Of course, you can check out Lobo, Fogbow. The links are in the description. Mick's 10 out of 10 dude. Christopher, what do we say? Where are we at? Have we figured it out?
I think
peace in the Middle East.
I think we were like 5 minutes away from figuring out peace in the Middle East, and then Mick had to go.
Yeah,
we were so close.
Us. Jesus, Mick, God. I mean, you just came out yesterday with a great video talking about detailing this whole thing. I'm sure you were probably editing that thing up until like the last fucking second.
Oh my God, dude. Sure. It was we were balls to the wall working on that for like 24 hours, over 24 hours straight, just putting together the reports, putting together the animations. It's crazy.
You get updates, and you're like, "Oh God, I got to come back and do this while I'm editing." Oh my God.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound stressful whatsoever. I mean, what else? What do you think? Let's do a little bit more speculation. What happens in the next following couple weeks? Because Israel did say that this will last weeks.
Yeah, my read on it so far, like, I really do feel as though Israel's got to keep going. I don't think they're going to stop. They put out statements that they're probably going to go for another week. The big thing that changed over the past few days kind of is their focus on Iran's economic sector. They're hitting their oil fields, which, I mean, Iran's already poor, destitute, their people are broke, their economy's in shambles, so this is only going to put more pressure on them. Sounds like the retaliation at this point might be that Iran pushes for closing the Strait of Hormuz, but I don't see how they do that at this point with zero air cover. That was always sort of Iran's like ace in the hole. It was we'll threaten to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe they can still do that. It just seems almost like they've been completely neutered and they're totally impotent because they can't shut that down. They don't have a credible claim that they can do that. Maybe they can, and I've got it wrong, but that was sort of always when you look at what do you call it, when you game it out. Okay, Israel strikes Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran then strikes residential areas in Tel Aviv. Okay, then Israel says they're going to attack Iran's economic sector. Okay, if you attack our economic sector, we'll also attack Israel's economic sector, and we'll shut down the strait, and gas is going to cost, no fun summer this summer. Summer 2025 is over.
Yeah, it's canceled.
Yeah. So that was always sort of the play-by-play of what we knew would happen if this domino effect fell down, but given the fact that Iran is so blustered, I don't know if they can shut down the strait. And if they do try to, does that mean the end of their navy? That's sort of where it looks to me.
Yeah, and you also like talking about like the proxies and stuff. Like Hezbollah was like, yeah, we're good for right now. Like we're not interested in like getting in on this at this moment. So, it's pretty fucking wild. Like one of their strongest proxies is like tapping out at a moment like this. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like what they did with their command and control. I think they're scrambling over there. I think they don't know which way's up. They're trying to get ballistic missiles on the other end and stuff. Like they did say they had 2,000 or so, but like how many of those can you actually get out? Get set towards Israel. Frankly, I hope there's a ceasefire soon. I don't know. This is gonna be fucking sticky for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, even so obviously I'm pretty partial to Iran getting their butts kicked, but even when you see that happen, it's never a good thing. You never want to see this happen. Hopefully, we all come out on the other side of this better in a more stable region, hopefully, because the Middle East has been just uh, just a bit of a dumpster fire for the past
Yeah.
year or two. So hopefully, whatever happens, it leads to stability and peace.
Totally agree. I mean, I hope it happens. It won't, but whatever. Fingers crossed. Let's be a little bit optimistic here. I hate being like Mr. Negative. What else? I think I had something else, but I forgot it. It's fine. Not a big deal. Chris, let's talk a little bit about you. I mean, what's it like day to day being a YouTube megastar?
Dude, I could show you what it's like. It's like just drinking coffee and I've got stains on my shirt. Just
Just a grind.
it's a grind. I am a mess. Yeah, the YouTube content stuff is good right now. We're starting new businesses, new ventures that are coming out in the next few weeks that we're very excited about. So yeah, things are going very well. We're unleashing the Cappy army.
Yeah, awesome, man. So are you happy with your move?
It's been very good so far. It's been a good decision. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Cappy Army. Check out the link. It's in the description. I mean, you already know who Cappy is. We're not gonna fucking help him with many subscribers. We'll probably get like three to 7 subscribers max.
But I love those 3 to 7 guys. Those are the guys that I love, that I
You're the
need.
fanatics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's update. It's things. This obviously is a fluid situation, so I'm gonna try and probably get another episode of Eyes On with some of the boys during the week too, because I'm sure there's gonna be updates. And it was funny. Usually I try and do 2 shows a week, right? Weekends usually with the boys, and then like another one with like maybe one guy, maybe Jack jumps on or a guest. I couldn't get anybody during the week, so I jumped on it because like the LA protests and stuff was going on, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I talked about that, and I'm like, there's definitely going to be something's going to go down before the fucking weekend, and we won't be able to talk about this. So I want to hit on this, and something went down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were supposed to launch a video on Saturday about the LA riots, and then this happened, and I was like, it would be strange. We
Of course.
gotta go with the craziness that's happening, and yeah, in the next week we probably have something on the riots, because those are, I mean, it's a less of a black and white story. It's less easy to cover and to think about, I think, because this is, from my perspective, from most Americans' perspective, it's like, okay, even if you don't fully agree with what Israel's doing in Gaza, or even if you really hate what they're doing in Gaza, you still have a lot of people have sympathy for, they like to see Iran get it on the chin.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but with the riots, it's a little more, it's like, okay, how do we think about domestic troop deployments on American soil? How do we, yeah, because our country is sort of very founded on the principle of like not quartering or having troops in the streets. So it's like almost in our DNA that we don't like to see it. But then there's the other part that's bouncing around in our heads of like we don't like to see lawlessness and disorder and looting and shit either. It's yeah, that the riots are a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see how you would need to take go through that topic kind of carefully for sure. I mean, because people are very worked up. I mean, so am I. I'm gonna be real about it. Like, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. In New York City, it's there's like people going, they're wilding out every day with the
Yeah,
protests.
yeah. All right. So check out Chris. You like you? What do you go by when you introduce yourself to somebody?
Chris, yeah,
Just
just
no,
Chris.
but like, what do you last name wise?
Capiluto is yeah.
You do the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Usually I use Cappy online because it's no one can say Capiluto, so it's just I
Yeah.
do everyone a little favor.
All right. Check them out. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's Jack. I just want to talk to you for a moment about how you can support the show if you've been watching it, enjoying it, but you'd like to get a little bit more involved and help us continue to do this. You can check out our Patreon. It is patreon.com/theteamhouse. And for $5 a month, you can get access to all of these episodes of The Team House ad-free. The same goes with our affiliated podcast, Eyes On, with Andy Milburn, Jason Lyons, Mick Mulroy. That one, you will also get all of those episodes ad-free. And you support the channel and the show, and we really appreciate it. The Patreon members are literally what has helped this company, this small business survive, especially during our early years. And you are what continues to help this thing going, even as we navigate the turbulent world of YouTube advertising. So we really appreciate all of you guys. There's going to be a link down in the description to that Patreon page, and there is also going to be a link to our new merch shop. So if you guys want to go and get some Team House merchandise, we got stickers, and we also have patches. And I should mention, if you sign up for Patreon at $10 a month, we will mail you this patch as well. So we really appreciate that. But they're also for sale on the merch shop. And additionally, they got t-shirts up there, water bottles, a tote bag, coffee mugs, all that good stuff. So please go and check them out and support the show. We really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.